3 wishes, 1 hangover. Mila groaned as she peeled her eyes open, her head throbbing like a drum and her mouth as dry as the Sahara. A wave of nausea rolled through her stomach, and a deep sense of foreboding settled in her chest. Something felt off. Very off. The sunlight streaming through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows felt like a personal attack, and her head pounded like a drum in a marching band. She squeezed her eyes shut, regretting every sip of alcohol from the night before. Wait! Floor-to-ceiling windows? She forced her eyes open again, sitting up slowly, trying not to anger the beast in her skull. This was not her apartment. This was a palace. Okay, maybe not a palace, but definitely a ridiculously fancy mansion. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a bed so big she could have slept sideways on it. "Ah, you are awake," a deep voice announced. Mila gasped, clutching the silky covers. Hovering a few inches above the nightstand was a man with tanned skin, a perfectly sculpted jawline, and an amused glint in his dark eyes. He exuded an air of effortless arrogance, his arms crossed over his chest as he smirked at her. He was adorned in a flowing golden vest and loose-fitting pants, the kind of attire she had only seen in fairy tales, or possibly in one of those ridiculous dream sequences in rom-coms. What is happening?" she croaked, throat dry as sandpaper. "I'm Zane, your friendly neighborhood genie. You freed me from that exquisite Merlot last night." Mila squinted at the empty wine bottle on the nightstand. What? Zane chuckled. "You already used your 3 wishes last night. I'm just here to make sure you remember them, despite all that booze." Mila groaned. "I wished for something, huh?" She chewed her bottom lip. "Please don't tell me I wished for a lifetime supply of cheese or something." Zane snorted. "No, but I kind of wish you had. Instead, you wished for the following: perfect health and beauty, the ability to talk to animals, and, oh yes, marriage to your longtime crush, Jake." Mila choked on air. "What?" Before Zane could elaborate, the bedroom door swung open and in walked Jake, her longtime crush co-worker, and the man who absolutely did not know what was going on. He was holding 2 cups of coffee and wearing a confused frown. Oh, and of course, he was shirtless. "Morning, sweetheart," Jake said slowly, like he was still piecing things together himself. I hope you like black coffee. I wasn't sure how you took it since we, didn't exactly discuss that before the wedding." Mila's soul left her body. Zane cackled. Wish fulfillment at its finest. Mila turned to glare at the floating menace. "This is a disaster! Undo it! Make it go away!" Sorry, love," Zane said with a wink. "Genie magic is final. No takebacks. Besides, I think you'll like being married once the shock wears off." Mila plastered on the biggest, most innocent smile she could manage. "Jake, babe, sweetheart, ha 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 ha. What a wild night, huh? Totally normal to wake up in your, huge mansion. Ha 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 ha, right?" Jake blinked. "You don't remember?" Mila let out a nervous laugh. "Pfft, of course I remember. Best night of my life, married now. Yep, that happened. No regrets." Jake stared at her like she had just started singing in French. "Right. Okay. Cool. So, breakfast?" Before she could answer, a loud panting noise filled the room. She turned to see a massive German shepherd bounding toward her, tail wagging furiously, eyes sparkling with joy. "Oh, hey, that's Thor," Jake said. "He's very, social." Before Mila could react, Thor leaped onto the bed and started licking her face enthusiastically. "Oh my God, human lady, I love you. You smell like happiness and toast. Also, did you know that squirrels are just tiny, over-caffeinated ninjas? Anyway, welcome to the family." Mila shrieked, almost knocking over her coffee. "He talks!" Jake frowned. "Wait, what?" Mila wiped her face. Oh no, I forgot. I can talk to animals now." Thor's tail thumped against the bed. This is amazing. I have so many things to tell you. First of all, I don't trust the vacuum. It's evil. Second, did you know that Jake sometimes talks to himself in the mirror? Third, if you ever want to share your food, I am always available. Always. Mila let out a nervous laugh. Oh, wow. Talking dog. Crazy. But, maybe we don't tell Jake, okay, buddy? Just between you and me? Thor gasped dramatically. Secrets? Oh, I love secrets. Like how Jake actually likes rom-coms but pretends he doesn't. Oops. Did I just say that out loud? Jake's eyes narrowed. Wait a minute. Mila clapped her hands together. So? Breakfast. That sounds amazing. Let's go eat. Jake shook his head, muttering something about needing more coffee, and headed toward the kitchen. Thor pranced after him, turning back to Mila with an excited grin. I can't wait to tell you about the neighbor's cat. She's an undercover spy. Mila groaned, running her hands down her face. She was married in a mansion, talking to animals, and somehow needed to keep all of this a secret before Jake started asking too many questions. Breakfast, however, turned out to be another ordeal. Mila sat at the kitchen island, trying to act normal while Thor enthusiastically narrated every bite of food she took. Oh, wow. You eat toast like a professional. What's it like being human? Are pancakes really as magical as they look? Do you think bacon is my cousin? Meanwhile, outside the window, two birds were having the most dramatic conversation. I told you not to eat the whole worm, Gary. But it was delicious, and I was hungry. I regret nothing. Now you have a tummy ache. Mila clutched her coffee cup like a lifeline, nodding absently at whatever Jake was saying while trying not to lose her mind at the feathery soap opera unfolding outside. I just need to, excuse myself for a moment, she blurted, practically sprinting to the nearest bathroom. She locked the door and turned toward the mirror. Her scream was muffled by both hands clamping over her mouth. Her reflection was stunning. More than stunning, otherworldly. Her skin practically glowed, her hair cascaded in perfect waves, and her eyes had taken on an intense feline-like quality. Even her lips looked fuller and oh no. She glanced down. Bigger boobs? Genie! She whisper-screamed, leaning against the sink. What kind of magic did you do? This was going to be a very, very long day. And it only got worse from there. As a veterinarian, Mila was used to chaos, but today took the cake. The moment she stepped into her clinic, it was as if every animal had been waiting just for her. A poodle with a superiority complex scoffed, "About time. Do you know how long I've been waiting? My human thinks I'm constipated, but I just refuse to use the ugly grass patch in their yard." Meanwhile, a grumpy cat glared at her, whispering, "Tell my owner I demand salmon. Canned chicken is beneath me." Then there was the horse. "Listen, lady, I know I look majestic, but I am tired. This show-jumping thing? Not my scene. Can't I just retire and eat apples in peace?" By the time a parrot started giving her unsolicited dating advice, "Repeat after me. You're so strong, Jake. Trust me, it works every time." Zrania Mila was barely holding it together. The final straw, a snake that simply slithered close and whispered, "I know things." As she sat at her desk, head in hands, a nurse walked in with a massive bouquet. "For you," she said, handing over the card. Mila opened it, expecting disaster, only to see Jake's name. "Thought you seemed a little off today. Hope this makes you smile." Jake. Mila stared at the flowers, then at the parrot, who fluffed his feathers smugly. "Told you." By the time she got home, she was emotionally and mentally fried. The idea of spending the evening with Jake, her now husband and longtime crush, was enough to turn her nerves into a full-blown panic attack. So, of course, Jake had the brilliant idea that they should cook dinner together. "You chop the vegetables and I'll handle the steak," Jake instructed, handing her a knife. Mila took it with shaky hands, nearly dropping a tomato. Right, cooking. I totally know how to do that. She didn't. And it showed. Within minutes, she had somehow managed to slice a cucumber into pieces so uneven they looked like a crime scene. Jake chuckled as he watched her struggle. Wow, you really don't cook much, do you? What? No, I totally cook. Mila scoffed. I just, prefer food that's already assembled, like pizza or cereal. Jake grinned. So, you're a microwave gourmet. Got it. Mila groaned. Stop looking at me like that. It's distracting. Like what? He teased, leaning against the counter. Like that, she pointed accusingly. With your stupid handsome face and your perfect arms. She snapped her mouth shut, face burning red. Jake laughed, clearly enjoying her discomfort. I have perfect arms now? Interesting. Thor, who had been watching from the floor, decided to chime in. She's totally in love with you, you know. She also thinks your hair smells nice. Mila gasped. Thor! Shut up! Jake raised an eyebrow. Okay, I know dogs don't talk, but I feel like I just understood exactly what he meant. Mila grabbed the nearest dish towel and dramatically threw it over her face. I hate everything. Jake chuckled, patting her head. Come on, let's finish cooking before you burn the salad or something. Mila peeked out from under the towel, still blushing like a tomato. This was going to be the longest, most embarrassing evening ever. And then came bedtime. Mila stood awkwardly by the edge of the massive bed, her heart pounding like a drum. Jake, already comfortable and relaxed, patted the empty space beside him. Come on, it's not like I bite. Unless, you want me to. Mila let out a strangled noise that was supposed to be a laugh, but sounded more like a dying goose. She climbed under the covers, stiff as a board, keeping a solid foot of distance between them. Jake turned on his side, resting his head on his hand, watching her with an amused expression. Married couples usually sleep a little closer. Haha, well, we're not exactly usual, are we? She babbled nervously, staring at the ceiling. Jake smirked and leaned in just slightly. I could kiss you goodnight, Mila's entire system short-circuited. Her brain went into panic mode, and before she could stop herself, she snapped her head in the opposite direction so fast she nearly gave herself whiplash. Good night, she shouted, yanking the blanket up to her nose. Jake blinked, then chuckled, rolling onto his back. All right, good night, Mila. Sweet dreams. Meanwhile, Mila lay stiff as a board, eyes wide open, face burning, and heart threatening to break out of her chest. This was going to be the longest, most nerve-wracking marriage in history. And then it got worse. Mila woke to the sensation of something warm brushing against her cheek. Her eyes fluttered open just in time to see Jake pressing the lightest of kisses against her skin. Her body went rigid, and her brain short-circuited completely. Panic mode. Activated. Thor, lying at the foot of the bed, let out a dramatic sigh. Oh boy, she's malfunctioning again. Hold on. I got this. Mila barely had time to process before Thor sprang into action, leaping onto the bed and licking her face. Wake up, bestie. It's a beautiful day. Let's do deep breathing exercises together. Outside the window, the birds had already started their morning routine. Oh my God, did you see that? He totally kissed her. I know, she freaked out. This is better than reality TV. And then, to top it all off, the neighbor's cat strolled along the windowsill, yawning. Listen, sweetheart, if you don't kiss him back soon, I might have to step in and give him a tutorial. Mila threw the covers over her head and groaned. Why is my life a circus? Thor, ever the helpful one, hopped onto the bed and nudged her with his nose. All right, listen up, human. You are married to the dreamboat over there, and you're acting like he's a fire-breathing dragon. We need a strategy. Mila peeked out from under the blanket. A strategy? Thor nodded sagely. Yes, you need to relax around him. And lucky for you, I am an expert in relaxation. I will help you, with the assistance of my highly skilled team. Mila narrowed her eyes. What team? As if on cue, the birds outside started chirping. Mission: Operation Lovebird is a go. We have eyes on the target. The neighbor's cat slinked onto the windowsill. I'll be handling the flirtation coaching. You need to master the art of the smolder. Mila groaned. Oh no. Thor wagged his tail. Oh yes. And it all starts with you going into that shower with him. No excuses. Mila sat up so fast she nearly knocked Thor off the bed. No way. Thor rolled his eyes dramatically. I swear if you don't go in there I will bite you. Mila gasped. You wouldn't. Thor grinned. Try me. Mila folded her arms. Fine, but if I don't have to go in the shower, I promise I'll listen to you. Thor's tail thumped excitedly. Deal, this is going to be fun. And so, the week went by in a whirlwind of hilariously chaotic encounters. Mila went back and forth to work, struggling to keep a straight face as her animal patients never stopped talking. A grumpy bulldog refused to be weighed because he was watching his carbs. A parrot recited dramatic breakup lines from soap operas, and a suspiciously smug-looking cat insisted on giving her unsolicited dating advice. Thor and his friends, particularly the birds and the nosy neighbor's cat, never missed a chance to nudge Mila closer to Jake. You're basically his mate. Just act normal, Thor had advised while chewing on her shoe. And by normal, I mean stare deep into his eyes and look mysterious. After countless encounters with unsolicited matchmaking advice from the animal kingdom, Mila finally caved and decided to surprise Jake with a home-cooked meal. With Thor as her self-proclaimed sous chef, she set up a candlelit dinner, even going so far as to put a tiny bow tie on him. When Jake walked into the dining room, the sight of Mila, nervous but beaming, dressed in a cute apron, standing next to an overly dapper Thor, made him laugh. Wow, I didn't know dinner came with a formal dress code, Jake teased, smiling warmly at her. Shut up and eat, Mila mumbled, her cheeks pink. Dinner passed in a blur of laughter and easy conversation, with Mila miraculously managing to cook something that was not only edible, but downright delicious. She had poured every ounce of her nervous energy into perfecting the meal, guided by Thor's enthusiastic taste testing. More butter. No, wait. Cheese. Humans love cheese. By the time they finished eating, Jake looked genuinely impressed. I have to admit, this was really good. Mila, still buzzing from the adrenaline of not burning down the kitchen, waved him off. Pfft, beginner's luck. Or divine intervention. Jake chuckled, standing up and moving closer to her. Well, whatever it was, I'm grateful. Mila's breath hitched as he reached up, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver down her spine, and her heart pounded wildly in her chest. Can I finally kiss my wife properly? Jake murmured, his voice laced with teasing affection. Mila, caught between excitement and sheer panic, could barely nod before he leaned in, capturing her lips in a soft, lingering kiss. As his lips pressed against hers, his hand slid down, grazing the bare skin of her back. A shiver ran through her entire body, making her breath hitch. The warmth of his touch sent a deliciously unsettling sensation through her, her skin tingling under his fingers. Jake deepened the kiss slightly, his fingers tracing slow, teasing circles against her back. Mila, overwhelmed, almost forgot how to breathe. Her knees felt weak, and her heart pounded so hard she was certain he could feel it. The world around them seemed to fade, the moment stretching into something out of a dream. Outside, the birds erupted into cheers. Oh, finally. Took them long enough. I was about to start selling tickets for this. Another bird flapped excitedly. I told you! I told you! I called it last week! Pay up, Gary. Ugh, fine, the second bird grumbled. I thought she'd at least trip over something first. Meanwhile, the neighbor's cat lazily stretched out on the windowsill, watching the scene with a bemused expression. Honestly, I've seen snails move faster than this romance. If she doesn't jump his bones soon, I might just start setting them up with romantic picnics myself. Thor let out a satisfied sigh, his tail wagging. Mission accomplished. Now who wants dessert? Mila, breathless and still dazed from the kiss, barely registered what was happening before she felt Thor nuzzle against her leg. She turned to him, cheeks burning, as the birds continued their over-the-top commentary outside. All right, it's done. You happy now? Thor grinned. Ecstatic, you finally stopped acting like Jake was a terrifying mythical beast. But listen, this is just the beginning. Next, we work on the snuggling. Mila groaned. Absolutely not. Jake chuckled, tucking a loose strand of her hair behind her ear. I don't know. I think Thor might be onto something. The birds outside gasped dramatically and the neighbor's cat purred with amusement. Oh, now this is a love story worth watching. Mila sighed, burying her face in her hands as Jake laughed and pulled her into another warm, lingering kiss. Maybe, just maybe, this crazy, magical, talking, animal-filled life wasn't so bad after all.